Hey everyone, welcome to Satisfactory News. Satisfactory Update 8 has officially come out on the experimental branch of the game, and it brings a ton of new features both large and small. In this video, I'm going to try to go through them all as best as I can without taking up too much of your time. First, before you play, make sure you back up your save files. Here is the location of your saves, which is also where your blueprints live. Copy this folder to somewhere else on your computer before you start playing, so that you have a backup copy of your saved games. Also be sure you're using the experimental version of the game. This update is not on the early access branch yet, only the experimental. If you're not sure how to find this version on your game launcher, the answer is a simple Google search away. Unreal Engine 5. The first major change, and the reason this update took a long time, is that the game has moved from Unreal Engine 4 to Unreal Engine 5. This game engine upgrade can be felt the most in the visuals of the game, and specifically the lighting. If your computer is strong enough to handle it, I strongly recommend that you turn on global illumination because it's really beautiful. But that's not the only thing Unreal Engine 5 added. It comes with the world partition system, which changes the way the world is loaded, and so will reduce hitches when crossing between tiles. There are new vehicle physics and sounds, bringing some changes to how vehicles handle when you drive them. The enhanced input system allows for more granular key inputs based on context, meaning there's more customization available when changing your controls and keybinds. Two new anti-aliasing options have been added to the graphics settings. FXAA allows for better performance, while TSR is an upscaling technology that utilizes anti-aliasing. You can experiment with the different options to see what looks and feels best to you, because it's not necessarily that one is better than the other. Nanite and Lumen are two of the most high-profile Unreal Engine 5 features that were added. Nanite has allowed rocks, cliffs, and conveyor items to be rendered differently in order to provide higher visual quality. Lumen is a lighting system that improves how lighting and reflections look in the game. This new system makes everything look a bit more realistic and gives more depth to the world. The patch notes specifically recommend running Lumen at medium or high, since there isn't much of a visual difference, and running TSR on the performance level at the same time. This should result in a game that performs well and looks good without sacrificing too much in either performance or in visuals. Blueprints. Blueprints are getting quite a lot of love in Update 8. The big one is Blueprint Dismantle, which allows you to toggle on a specific dismantle mode that will dismantle an entire blueprint in one click. Press the R key by default to switch to this mode while already in dismantle mode. The best part is, already existing blueprints know that they are blueprints, and you'll be able to dismantle them even if you place them during Update 7. Building with blueprints is now easier as well. They feature a directional arrow in their hologram so you know which side is the front. Quick Switch now works with blueprints, so you can quickly change over to a blueprint that's in the same subcategory. Blueprints and normal buildables now have nudge mode, which lets you lock the hologram in place, then move around it with your character freely to make sure you set it in the right spot. Then you can nudge the blueprint 1 meter at a time before placing it. This is nice for large buildings and huge blueprints, but it's useful for everything. Landscape. Some biomes got a visual update, but no resource nodes were changed and there were no major updates to the terrain, so most factories should be fine. The Titan Forest and the Red Jungle had overhauls for foliage, visuals, sound effects, and lighting. The Abyss Cliffs, Rocky Desert, Eastern Dune Forest, Spire Coast, and many caves also got a round of polish. The most notable thing is that there's vistas around the edge of the map that have been updated, and they make the world look a little more complete and less like you're on an island floating in the middle of nowhere. There are two new variants of the hog creature, that being the Cliff Hog and the Nuclear Hog. Creatures and collectibles around the world have been polished as well, so you'll probably see a few changes when exploring. Advanced Game Settings. Advanced game settings allow players to tailor their Satisfactory experience with alternate ways of playing the game. While the developers would prefer you to play the game as intended, these settings are great for people who have already played hundreds of hours in the game or are just annoyed by something specific. Here's the full list of advanced game settings that you can try out. There's Fly Mode, allowing you to fly freely. God Mode, which makes you invincible to everything except for the world barrier. No Build Cost, which makes all buildables free. Give Items allows you to give yourself any amount of an item in the game. No Unlock Cost means that unlocking tiers and research is free. Unlock All Tiers is the fancier version of that, instantly unlocking all research and other unlockables. Unlock Alternate Recipes gives you instant access to every alternate recipe in the game. No Power means that buildings don't require power, however your power generators will still continue to generate power as normal. Set game phase sets the space elevator phase to a specified level. Respawn settings allow you to change what you keep in your inventory when you respawn. Finally, disable arachnid creatures turns off stingers completely, whether you have them as the default spiders or have arachnophobia mode on. Set starting tier is a setting you can change when you start a new game that sets what tier the game begins at. Again, it's not necessarily recommended that you use these settings if it's your first time playing the game, as you won't get the full experience, but it's going to be great for experienced players that want to put certain things on easy mode. Power infrastructure. There are two cool new buildings related to power. The first is the Power Tower, which is a giant power pole that can bring your power grid across large distances. You can string really long cables between these buildings, much longer than with normal power poles. The priority power switch lets you organize your power grid with power switches, and in the case of a power loss, the priority power switch can dynamically turn off sections of your factory in order to save power. You can also use them to turn sections of your factory on and off remotely. Now there's a few other random cool changes in this update that we'll go ahead and go through now. The highlight is that gas pillars, aka fart rocks, are now destructible with nobelisks. Jetpacks now support different types of fuel, and each one has different properties, including their burn time and how fast they accelerate. The parachute has been changed from a consumable to an equipment that won't be consumed when you use it. It's also gotten some updates to how maneuverable it is when you use it, and it has a sprint mode. Dismantle filter is an update to the dismantle tool that lets you hover over a specific building, select it, and add that to your filter. Once you do so, you will only select that type of building when dismantling. You can also add other buildings to the filter, and it's compatible with blueprint dismantle and mass dismantle. The default has been changed for when you die and respawn. Beforehand, you would lose everything upon death, but now the default is to lose items but keep equipment, which makes it much easier to reclaim your death box from hard to reach areas. Now, of course, there are more details in the patch notes, like stats for the new creatures and more specific descriptions of some of the new gameplay options, but hopefully I covered the basics here and you have a good idea of what you can expect when you get into Update 8. So be sure to read those patch notes in the Satisfactory Discord if you want to know everything in detail, or just jump into the game and see it all for yourself. And let me know in the comments what you're excited about or what your favorite feature is so far, and enjoy Update 8. I can't wait to see these beautiful screenshots with global illumination on.